Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Renegades of Time by Raymond F. Jones. This is a book that came out in 1975. It's a Laser Books #1. That's awesome. Classic sci-fi. I'm so excited about this. So happy 50 years to Laser Books, I guess, as this book was published in 1975, as I said, and it is the first one in the series, so I'm assuming, I guess they probably opened a couple years earlier because it takes about 18 months to make a book, but whatever. We're saying happy 50 years to Laser Books. So this is going to be one of my classic sci-fi book reviews where I do a quick spoiler-free review of the book, then a spoiler-filled synopsis, then my classic sci-fi bingo where I kind of go into the book a bit deeper. So first of all, what is The Renegades of Time about? Or just Renegades of Time, not The Renegades of Time. Sorry. The Algorans, masters of time travel, had lost control of the time channels. In despair, they stood helplessly by as the barbarian hordes of the devastating Bakori were unleashed on the universe. In the little town of Midland, USA, Joe Simmons worked feverishly to assemble the only device that had a chance to stop them. He knew that success depended on a beautiful Algoran woman, Tamarina, yet he didn't even know if she would reappear. But he couldn't stop trying. The whole disaster was his fault. None of this is accurate. I like this book quite a bit. It was very easy and quick to read. Bill and Joe were likable characters, and the whole time travel stuff wasn't fleshed out very clearly, but the main plot made sense. To be honest, I don't have much else to say about this book. It's sort of average in every way. It's enjoyable. The characters aren't flat, but they also aren't deep. The writing is engaging, but it's still sort of dry in that 70s way. And the plot moves at a good clip, but it also isn't like a super memorable book. I don't know. It's fine. It's fun, it's easy, it's enjoyable. I have no idea who this guy on the cover is supposed to be because there's no one like that in the book, and that's fine. This book, it's so funny. This is going to be the shortest review I've ever done, but I guess overall this book is good. I don't know. That's all I could say. It's not a deep book. I'm going to tell you now, filled with spoilers, what this entire book is about. I guess, actually, before I do that, I guess if you really love classic sci-fi, or you really like time travel, or you just want something kind of like really fast to read, I recommend this. It's good. It's decent. It's like, I don't know. Okay. So, we have Joe, who is a student of engineering, I think. He quite literally runs into another character, Bill, in the street, and the briefcases spill open and the papers go flying. In a classic mix-up that would have been a meet-cute in a modern novel, Joe needs to find Bill to get the papers back he accidentally took. He finds out where he lives, goes there, and finds Bill on a hill doing something weird. As he approaches, he enters this beam of white light, which sends him to a jungle somewhere. He is apparently, I think, Vietnam. He talks about the jungle, so I'm assuming that's what war he fought in, because he talks about being in the jungle before a couple times. In the jungle, he also meets Tamarina, a young woman who explains that Joe has time traveled, but also teleported, I guess, to another planet. It's not exactly clear whether they're teleporting or time traveling or both. I don't know. They spend the night in the jungle, and then she uses these beacons to send Joe back home. So when he's home, he grows obsessed with not only her, but the time travel itself. So he finds Bill, who agrees to let him tag along on his experiments into time travel. They manage to use the machine to travel to Algor, where Bill had been before, and where he also had met Tamarina originally. They had been working on this project together. When they get there, Tamarina's boss tells him that she's been lost in time. I guess the jungle incident, she kind of sacrificed herself to send Joe back home, which means... But they also know that she's been captured by the Bakori, which is the evil species who want the Algorans. They basically want the Algorans' time technology that they can take over the universe. Classic move. So they head there. It's not as exciting as you think, because the whole time the Bakori are very nice to them. They take them to Tamarina. They ride some pterodactyl-like things that are on the cover. And then, due to a trick from the Bakori, because that's the whole thing about this, why they're being so nice, they accidentally share the time travel technology with them. Classic mistake. So the three of them go back to Al Gore, and the man there, Susarin, I think his name is, he says that they won't help Earth fight back because they just don't care. Their entire species has become really apathetic about everything, I guess because they can time travel anywhere they want, so they don't really care about the present, and they've even let their planet kind of fall to ruin. It's very post-apocalyptic. So Tamarina convinces her boss to at least help the guys a little bit, so he agrees that the Algorians can create a time shift device to send the Bakori to the dead end of time. It's kind of like the Loki show where there's like the branches. They can send them to like a branch that's kind of just ends. But they have no components. So the guys have to do it on Earth. Somehow Earth, who is way less sophisticated technologically, has these parts, but Algor doesn't. I don't know. So anyway, there's a long stretch of time on Earth simply trying to find the parts. This is a pre-Amazon delivery day, obviously. And then the Bakori arrive and they start kind of slowly attacking. They attack in a weird way. They kind of just like send monsters here and there, and then they like infiltrate people's dreams and make them like really depressed. Like it's a weird kind of attack. Eventually, they're able to complete the project. They use a ship to deliver what is essentially the time bomb to Bakori, though Bill is killed in the process. R.I.P. In the end, Joe, having nothing for him on human Earth, decides to live with Tamarina in the edge of time, in this edge of time pocket that she's created that she showed him earlier. She basically takes him there and she's like, "This is my happy place." And he's like, "I would love to live here with you." And she's like, "You know what? I'm no longer apathetic. I agree." And then that's the end of the book. It's fun. It's just, it's very typical 1970s. There's some stuff you're just like, what? And other stuff you're like, all right. So I'm going to go into my classic sci-fi bingo. There isn't a lot here because this book has like nothing problematic in it. It also has nothing kind of weird, really. So like normally I use this to kind of like poke fun at the book a bit or like point out stuff that is like ridiculously problematic. But there's nothing like that in here, but I'm going to do it anyway. So outdated science. It's not really science, but there's a lot of kind of like old kind of issues here that we don't have to deal with anymore. Like Joe can't find out where Bill lives because obviously there's no internet or like even like phone directory for him to like find him. So he has to like kind of ask people. And then it's also very funny to me that the main issue with them in the last like quarter of the book is trying to find parts. Like today they'd obviously just order them from eBay or whatever and they'd come in like 2 days. Where here they're like, where are we going to find all these parts? And they obviously can't order them from anywhere. So it's kind of like, and like that would not be an issue today. Spaceship blows up. Yeah, actually, I didn't tell you this, but when they land in Bakori, they get out of the ship, and then the ship just like blows up, and they're like, "What the heck?" And the Bakori were like, "We're sorry." It's so stupid. Social changes, no, because it's kind of set in the present day. Sexy female scientist, no, Tamarina is not that. Cool aliens. The Algorians are just kind of like hard-faced humans, but Bakori at least look different. I will read you what they look like. Bakori were as they had been described, humanoid in general features, covered with hair almost of the density of fur, except for hands and face. Their skin was not truly black, but rather a deep purple hue. In contrast to heavy, thick bodies, their facial features were thin and fine to the point of handsomeness by Earth standards. Their eyes were sharp and intelligent. So, yeah. And then the Bakori, the coolest thing about them, though, is that they use these dinosaur-like birds for transportation called the Creel. They're basically just, yeah, like on the cover, they're just these giant kind of like pterodactyls, and they just fly around on them, and it's really neat. They control them using these like necklaces. It's not explained. Ancient tech and ruins, no, there's none of that. There's no generation ship or space soldiers or AI and robots. New worlds, yep, we see Al Gore, Bakori, and that jungle world at the start. The Creel are super fun. They're what make the whole book, actually. There's no cyberpunk in this. Blatant sexism. No, I have noticed that books from the like early 70s and mid 70s tend to not have this because I could go into it, but it has to do with kind of like the waves of feminism at the time, or in the early 80s there was a backlash to that, and you see a lot of that in books where sexism has reared its head. And in the 60s it's more of like almost a benevolent kind of chauvinistic sexism, where the 70s really unless like it really doesn't half the time. So anyway, this one has none of that. Tamarina is the only woman, but there really only are like 5 people in the book. But she's capable, she's tough, she's not damseled. Even when the guys show up to help her, on Bakori, she takes the lead and she's the one that devises a way for them to escape. Then they also like go to her for advice and stuff. They don't just kind of assume she doesn't know anything because she's a woman. She has a great first description. 20 feet away, a girl stood watching and reviling him in that golden voice. He didn't catch all she said. She seemed to be using a dozen languages, most of them unknown to him, but he caught idiot, fool, stumbling jackass, empty-headed clod, and references to ancestry that are common in any language. That was his introduction to Tamarina. And he also calls her a bedraggled spitfire standing in the rain. So yeah, I liked Tamarina. She wasn't in the book enough, but she was a good character. There's no reptile aliens, there's no LGBTQ plus people. I kind of shipped Joe and Bill, but that's just because the meet cute seemed like such a romance thing. There's no black holes or portals. There's no microfiche. The male MC is the dick. Nope. Joe is a decent good guy. I liked Joe and I liked Bill. They both have the hots for Tamarina, of course, but they discussed at one point and they point out how she's her own person who can make her own decisions. And I was like, what? Shocking. And they're not going to fight over her and like make her choose. This book also could have been a why choose scenario, but I mean, the time period probably would not have allowed that. Post-apocalyptic. Yes, Al Gore is basically post-apocalyptic due to neglect. Wild weapons and inventions. The time beacons, which they use to travel, are really cool. They're these like glowing red boxes you set up on the ground, and they create a sort of like teleportation kind of beam. Like they call the teleportation beam to come, and it like sets like a perimeter. It's actually kind of neat. Racial equality. No, there's only like 2 people, and I don't think that they're people of color. Mind possession. No. Galactic war. Yes. Bakori attacks Earth. I would say that's galactic war. Time travel, obviously, yes. And no, this book does not pass the Bechdel test because other than I think Bill's aunt or something, no other women talk. My quick pick bonus. Yes, there is alien-human romance because Tamarina is technically an alien even though she looks like a human. So she and Joe have a romance. And then, but there's no female main character and there is no derelict ship. But overall, a fun book. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's going to go on my favorite shelf, but definitely one that I think is a good start to the laser books. They picked a good one. They picked one that wasn't too controversial, wasn't poorly written, wasn't too out there. It's a very safe first book in the laser book series because I've read a few other laser books and they are wild, including one called Ice Prison, I think. Oh my god, that one's nasty. I should reread that one and review it because it's so gross. Okay, maybe I'll do it in December because it's like, ice. It's wintertime. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye.